Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I'm going to do a tarot reading. I brought out other decks that I haven't used in a while. I took out some boxes from my storage unit because I'm starting to sort stuff. And what I'm going to take on the plane with it being either carry-on or check-in. So I have two decks that I haven't used in a while, and I'll show them in a second. For a moment, I just wanted to say I just took a Benadryl, or a diphenhydramine, and I feel like I should be okay for the whole reading. Um, I was given some pasta. I am not feeling it as much, but I am getting a little itchy, but I would have seen like a more serious reaction right away. I feel like, well, it is from my godmother, um, which is okay. I feel like a lot of times people don't see the as serious reactions, so they're just like, Adrian, she'll be okay. But and usually it is, but I do have to be careful, especially if I have work the next morning, because if I'm going to try like those types of foods, I usually don't eat it during the week. So there were only two times where it was um, affecting something that I was doing, because it was during a school day, and I had to go to the hospital because it wasn't good. Um, and the reaction was it. I went to the hospital for that one. And then last year, when my reaction was bad, I got sent home from work. So, um, because I was just a bubble from hives, and both times were from pasta, it's mainly like heavy cream and pasta that immediately sets it off. But this one, it wasn't uh, like a heavy cream based. Sorry for the TMI. I have my deck, the Earth Fairy Tarot, that I'll be reading from, and the Healing with the Angels Oracle. So I'll start pulling out cards. I also wanted to make this a Circle of Friends type of reading, and it is a slightly newer type of reading for me because I started doing it this past year, and I do keep it a little broader to see the messages that come through. Yeah, there were like maybe two specific things that I did want to say in the reading. I'll start pulling out the cards. I know there's mainly a grandmother figure that really, it's like the image or vision of the grandmother, like kind of looking outwards and sitting on a chair as if she's protecting the reading. There are multiple, it's almost like lined up at this point, and one specific being, it is interesting because it was like being lured to death. Specific, like the specific word of Lord, Lured, and it really made me think if it was in a way where talking about like the way that Hitler carried on certain actions. But that is another being that I feel like was adamant about having this type of reading come out. So I'm going to read the cards. I feel like it's a little bit of a different reading too, because I have this bracelet and I just made it before the video. I have I had a bracelet that was given to me by my grandmother. It's coral, but or it was coral, but the bracelet part wasn't real, but the coral beads are. So I picked up another bracelet that was speaking to me. So the bracelet is carnelian, and I put them together. I wasn't sure about the contrast of it when I got them because I didn't bring the coral bracelet with me. So since it is a stronger contrast than what I was expecting it to be, I clustered the coral here and the carnelian in the back. It's just nice to pick the ones that kind of speak to you in that way. And there's like another specific subject, specifically soldiers or veterans that have served, and being one that has gone to the VA hospital frequently in the past, which is Veteran Affairs Hospital here. I'm not sure if it's different in other countries, probably another name, but it was during a specific time, and even now, with the field that I work in medical fields in general, there are rotations to familiarize the worker in different environments. And so when you go to like a VA hospital and maybe in the pharmacy department, you'll recognize maybe the regular types of medication. And I mean, some of them are medications that other patients take, but maybe you will notice the ones for pain or the ones that are like the sedatives, the antidepressants, and for a harsher medical terminology, the ones that help with the psychoactive behavior. So when we look at those things and we really, sorry, I'll keep pulling out cards, see what we're doing for those who have served and understanding the things that they have been through. And a lot of times it's really unimaginable because we're expecting them to come back into the civilian world, and when we do, it's like we immediately expect them to just grasp what was before, when the world that they were living in, and it is really another world, is completely different than what we experience. And you hear these different stories of maybe their comrade just stepping on, was it a landmine, and then the other soldier just picking up their body parts of the person that stepped on the landmine. And there are a lot of things that people in the civilian world that haven't experienced these things wouldn't be able to imagine or comprehend, because it's just such a different, it's just such like a time warp, a different timeline, a different world. As I said, I know that they, at least when I was going there sometimes, that they started to do more medical marijuana. So that was mm, around 2019, maybe. And I believe they're starting to get more into like microdosing mushrooms, or so we'll see the different ways to try to give the treatment to the veterans. And they have different programs. The ones that you commonly hear about are the ones that you have individual therapy, maybe you have the couples, there are the group therapy with the people that have served, and then there are the therapy or the group sessions for the families or the people that interact with them, with the veterans frequently. And another portion of it is having different teams, like they call them teams, to make their rounds to the veterans places to see how they are, like across the board. And so they aren't completely like down packed, I would say. And I would say that because sometimes, like especially working within those facilities, that there is an expectancy for them to act a certain way, and that often leads to them like maybe lashing out. And it's, I wouldn't say it's a standard for many types of hospitals, but I have noticed that when the patient isn't looked after, um, when you don't understand the types of behavior, especially with what they've been through, um, and even looking at from the pharmacy standpoint the types of medication that they take, what to expect from maybe when they're in different types of stages, different types of moods, and going through like different types of emotion. So you do sometimes have accidents. And what's interesting about these types of readings, as I said, it being like an open-ended one, sometimes you get it from the opposite side, sometimes you get it from like the home base. I would say that one of the main things is that I've noticed, again, this is just from my what I've seen and experienced, that they really want to have a sense of purpose again. So having some mission or duty is it tends to be good because that's what they were doing before they came back. So I guess it's one of those things where what do you do for those who come back home because they don't usually come back the same and they don't come back in one piece, and that could be in different ways, doesn't need to be physically. So the card is truth and integrity, and it's definitely interesting for these cards too. So this one's body care. I'll read one of the cards, and then this is romance. I will say that they are like kind of doing this, that I kind of just show the cards like that. It almost seems like being a little guarded, not wanting to be exposed in that way. I will say this, when sometimes you go through some sessions with the veterans and with again, those psychoactive tendencies, sometimes they might function regularly, but there are things that are perceived as delusions. And I'm not going to give any specific examples. I'm not giving an impression that I have a specific thing for that I'm trying to get out there, but um, sometimes when you go through a lot of trauma and it really rewires your brain and the chemistry in there, um, and that's for veterans, and it can be for anybody else too. I'm not saying that it's necessarily not true or a delusion or what is this or what is that, but it's a matter of being able to have the person comfortable enough and respecting that enough, the situation enough for them to come and say the things that are on their mind and that bother them. And sometimes these stories, they could be a little bit personified. Um, and they take on more meaning than what meets the eye. There's more things that are kind of described as something else, but it could be this, if that makes sense. Um, I think I got all the, yeah. This is actually the card that I got before this reading. So it's crystal clear intentions. Archangel Michael, be clear about what you desire and focus upon it with unwavering faith. And the light here really stands out to me. For some reason, one of the memories that, or visions that I have gotten, and again, same with me, you could take what you can from my readings and take it more literally, take it more in an abstract way. But it does seem like it's a safe space type of energy, because one of the other cards is you're safe, Archangel Michael. Again, I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and home. And it is pretty standard across the board. I don't have my jewelry box on me right now, but even with the military pendants for the US, it has like Archangel Michael there too. So I'll read the other ones. Comfort, Archangel Azrael, I am with you in your time of need, helping your heart to heal. And creative writing, Archangel Gabriel, make time to write down your thoughts in a journal or a pen, an article or book. I will say that it doesn't need to specifically be a soldier, a veteran, but more of the wounded warrior type of energy too. I'll be honest, I am starting to feel the um, dipahydramine right now. But I'm going to get through the reading. What time is it now? Okay. Because it just feels like, because you have the Four of Cups with the Lover's card, and the Lover's card is such a beautiful card to have, and especially for this type of reading too. But when you combine it with the Four of Cups, there's discomfort there. It's like a refusal to accept something, refusal to, this kind of feels like emotional support too. Refusal of emotional support. So if those two cards are combined, it just seems like trying to truck along and do things on your own, but not wanting to confide. And sometimes when we don't confide, we don't have the words to say it, or we don't know what to say or do, or how to react, because maybe in the past we were just shut down for some reason or another. There is the Five of Wands here. There's a couple of fives. So the only one that isn't here is the Five of Cups, because you have the Five of Wands in the present, the Five of Coins, the Five of Pentacles as the future card, and then that's with the Five of Swords. But it kind of, it's a little, I wouldn't say contradicting necessarily. The obstacle is the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups is when where you feel that there are people that are on your side. So it feels like maybe you might be pushing people away even if they try to be on your side. And sometimes it can be misinterpreted too, and sometimes it can be because of some insensitivities. Say like if someone tries to take like jokingly take jabs at you, but you don't find it funny, and they kind of just like jab at you based off of like something that is just kind of, again, rude or insensitive. It kind of feels like that energy. The obstacle is also the Nine of Coins, the Nine of Pentacles. So this is also a person that honestly can take care of things on a grand scale on their own for the most part. But as humans, we often seek that companionship. And you have the King of Swords here too, which is the connection card in my deck. As I said, with different worlds, that kind of connects to like the world of the Fae and our world. It is kind of intertwined while we're next to each other. We are and we aren't. And that is part of that contradiction too. It feels like being in two separate worlds, but still being next to each other. How to overcome, I was going to say overcompensate. How to overcome the obstacle, but maybe that's what it is too, is the Ten of Swords. It seems like there is, and even in the present, there's like, it could have been an argument that got taken really far to a point where there feels like a sense of power struggle, or feel like a sense of like not wanting to belong there, or stepping back, or really closing yourself off. Um, with this Ten of Swords, it's kind of like, let, I'm not necessarily saying to like let something go when they disrespect you, but I feel like there's an acknowledgement on the other side that says, okay, I understand that you really did not like that, and I acknowledge that that was not a good way to try to turn a conversation. Um, and that's on a smaller scale. It is the minor arcana. You could take it up a notch. You could put it towards your situation the way that you see it fit. You also have the Three of Wands here too. And the Three of Wands, it kind of feels like it takes a while for that alignment to take place because there's just such a turn off, honestly, of the type of maybe behavior that was set, the type of action, decision that was made that really wasn't seen in the other person's eyes. So you see like the chopper colors, and it does feel like needing to see or feel out which areas need to be improved. And like when you think about Eastern medicine, it really focuses on the body as a whole to maintain that homeostasis or the balance throughout the whole body. It's not just one thing, it's not just surface level. And just to take it back to the things that a veteran or a soldier might do, and may not be completely out of, still, they might still be in duty, in active duty, but it, I will say that I know it's on an individual basis, but most of the time people just don't go crazy for no reason. There's always something more to it, and that's why it's important to really get to those places, get to like the heart of the matter type of situation where you're really seeing and even accepting the types of things that are hard for you to hear, but they're the ones that had to experience it too. And that is part of like the pain and that power struggle. Sometimes we like to hold on to things that we can control because the rest of our life just feels so chaotic. In the past, there's the Chariot card. And that seemed to be like a really big step, which, um, maybe standing their ground, it could have been you or somebody else. It is something that is a little unusual because it's not something like a behavior or a decision that that person might have done in the past, but this person may have just been like pushed so much to a point where like, uh, I might extend it to this point of view where you see the child that may have been scapegoated in, uh, when they were raised by either one narcissistic parent or both of them. And a lot of times the scapegoated child often disassociates with the parents or with even people within their life because they're the real ones, as they're referred to, that they don't want to be a part of that, and somehow like people just try to suck them back into that, and they're just like, that's not for me. And I feel like it's them developing a bigger backbone with this to a point where they don't take that BS anymore. That could be that closed off energy that I'm getting from like the sorry, it's Healing with the Angels Oracle, where it just seems like so confined here, and it does feel like a protection type of energy. I honestly also see this vision too, where I ask for the angels to do the to like to protect specific people, and there's the specific vision of this large angel, and the wings are actually like almost like owl wings because they're like brown and different shades of like a like a blonde, like those shades, and it just like really hugs and like protects that specific person so they don't experience certain things. I'm gonna pull out more cards. There's also the again with the Five of Swords. Uh, Sometimes it's a refusal to see another person's point of view, and sometimes it's not being able to because, again, we haven't been through the same experiences as the other person has. So we try our best to really acknowledge that those things have happened to them. And again, with the things really happening, you could take that for what that is and whatever conversation you can really put to that meaning. But it definitely feels like a disassociation type of energy. There's also the energy of being kind and successful. This is Isabel that on the Page of Pentacles, and it she was also called angelic too growing up. I did pick her out of the litter when I first got her, and she grew up with a lot of cats, and she was often the one that was kind of like pushed around more, but she didn't really fight. She's not a fighter necessarily, but she is like a super kind cat, and she's very shy too. And then you have the star with the Page of Pentacles. And those are where the mangrove trees are, one of my favorite trees, if not my favorite trees. They don't grow in a lot of places, so that's when I was living in Florida, and you could just see the roots in the water, and even from like the shorelines or not the shoreline, but I guess when you're on the land, is it the shoreline? So it sounds a little corny, but it kind of feels like heaven, like bestowing you with something in a way, because it's like with the Page of Pentacles, being able to stay fair and truthful and kind of guiding, using that as a guidance for your success, it really sets you up to be successful in God's eyes, if you will, to where it you become like your own blessing and it now it just looks like there's like light that's being held because in some readings I have talked about getting the light and lighting keys where there's so much light that it just emits from you and the darkness can't like touch that. And me being the Libra, I do see like the balance of, and scientifically the balance of light and dark. But if you understand like what I'm trying to say with that too. And even like a playing nice because there's a toy mouse, but there isn't a real mouse there because she would just never. The other point of it, and then I'm gonna read the oracle card, is the Chariot and the Empress, which are two strong major arcanas, and then you have Lover's card from the Glory to Ukraine tarot, and the Chariot is major arcana as well. The Star is major arcana. And this really talks about the unyielding determination that you get from the Archangel Michael card. The slow growth is big growth. And sometimes when you make those big power moves, it's made of smaller moves too. I don't exactly know where that was going, but I tried to make it into like a sentence. But it just feels like standing firm and standing strong. It really feels like it links to that the kind and successful type of energy, not wanting to hurt anybody for a way for you to use them as a step to get up on the ladder. So I'll read one of the oracle cards, the Truth and Integrity. And I will say another vision that I get sometimes is that I get into this other plane or another world and it's bright, it's almost like, in the sky, and then there's this throne and I can't help but to kneel at it, like to kind of like bowing or showing my respects to it. At the throne, it's like not blind necessary, but there's necessarily, but the throne is like kind of filled with different lights, like different orbs of light, if you will. And it reminds me of kind of like chakras, chakra colors. And some colors, it's interesting, like different types of art. Sometimes it's like you just think, how do you make those colors that have never been colors in our world? So for truth and integrity, you are guided to be very honest with yourself and to be true to yourself in all of your activities and actions. The angels say to you, let go of anything inauthentic in all activities that do not mirror your highest intentions for yourself. If something in your life isn't working, be willing to release it to God and the angels. When we open our hands and release unhealthful situations, the divine light can enter. Miracles always follow when we surrender troubling conditions. You'll find that the job, relationship, health issue, or other circumstance heals rapidly in ways that you could never have imagined. You could never have imagined. All along the way, the angels will perfectly guide you to actions that will either help you replace the situation with something better or heal it entirely. Expect a miracle when you decide to be true to you. So that's the reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.